Hi everybody, it's John back again with another model inbox review. Today we're looking at an aircraft subject which is quite unusual and something I've certainly never touched. If any of you guys out there know what this is, then well done. It's actually a Beechcraft AT11 Kansan, and the model I'm actually doing an inbox review on is the PM models Beechcraft AT11 Kansan. Yes, a PM model. Yeah, we'll have a look at that in a minute. We'll just go through the boxing history. The kit is actually based on the Pioneer 2's Beech C45 Expeditor. Now, I do know that there are a lot of options for the Expeditor, but I don't really want to deal with the Expeditor. I just want to basically deal with the AT11 because the AT11 has a different nose to the Expeditor. And it has different windows, and it's just a different. It's a different, slightly different aircraft. But the airframe is definitely based on the same aircraft. The Expeditor of the AT11 is definitely based on that. And in actual fact, Pioneer 2 did release the AT11. This kit was originally released in 1990 as the C45 Expeditor, and they released the AT11 in 1991, and as you can see straight away, the airframe is predominantly different. It has a completely different nose section. There are small porthole style windows, although these aren't regimental with all the Kansans. Some of them did have the Expeditor's windows as well, because after the war a lot of Expeditors were converted into Kansans with this nose glazing here, which was a feature of a lot of Kansans obviously after the war. So this is the Pioneer 2 release in 1991, and then something interesting cropped up in the research that I was doing for this kit. Matchbox also released this kit under the ownership, well, it was when they were being directed and boxed up by Revell, and they also reboxed the Pioneer 2 Beech AT11 Kansan as a Matchbox kit. It certainly isn't a Matchbox kit, it's a Pioneer 2 kit. And this is one of the reasons why I actually bought this PM model, because I felt that you know, if Revell were willing to rebox a Pioneer 2 kit, it couldn't have been that bad. And when you look at the parts in a minute, it certainly isn't that bad. The kit I'm actually doing a review on is this one, the PM models serial number PM303 Beechcraft AT11 Kansan. And this was released in 2001, and this is the current boxing that you can get for this kit now. It's not changed at all since 2001. I'm going to leave you with a nice image now of a Kansan. This is the alternative option that you could get, where they retrofitted quite a lot of mid-upper turrets into the Kansan during World War II to help self-defend the aircraft, because they were a bit susceptible to fighter attack. And that's the other option that you can get, but it's not an option available on this particular kit. It's only the standard model. I'll just bring the camera down so that you can have a look at this particular kit in all of its glory. There we go. Bring that out for you. And there we go, no problem whatsoever. Now then. This is the box. It's quite a sizable box. It's a nice piece of artwork on the front. PM Models, incidentally, is a Turkish company. They have a bit of a reputation for being terrible. They have a terrible reputation for being terrible. I did build an F5A and an F5B in these kits in the last couple of years, and God, that kit is really terrible. But having a look at the parts to this model, and I don't think this model is actually that bad. We'll just take the parts out so we can have a look at them, and we'll have a look at the instructions and the decals first, like I normally do. We'll just peel the decals off there and have a look at those in a minute. The instructions, basically when it's folded up, the instructions are similar to a Hasegawa size instructions that I've featured on a previous video. You've got some information there, the PM model logo in the top right hand corner, the AT Kansan logo, and there's some information on the kit in different languages there. Technical gumph, blah blah blah, the usual stuff, you know. And then you've got a paint, you open it up, on the back of the instruction sheet you've got a paint guide for the two different versions. And these are quite nice. They give you the paint colour scheme, which which is quite good. Lots and lots of different types of paints, different companies' paints, which is quite nice, and different languages there, so you can see that's quite nice. And this is the American version, obviously, and this is a Turkish Air Force version, which I think it could be quite nice to build that as well. Although the American version is quite colourful with its silver and red trim and the flashes on the tail fins. The instruction leaflet itself belies the fact that there aren't many parts and the fact that this kit is actually quite simple construction. Typical of PM models instruction leaflets, there are no steps, but the entire instruction seems to be in steps of sub-assemblies to end up with an end result. The first sub-assembly is the interior there. I've had a look at the interior. It's not bad. I mean, it's not horrendously detailed, but it's probably on a par with most Matchbox models of similar type of size and construction. Then you've got the fuselage assembly, and there's some nice transparencies there to put inside the fuselage. And then you've got the wings, which you double up, and the engines, propellers. The propellers will rotate. And then you've got the undercarriage assembly and the undercarriage doors, tail wheel assembly, and all of that. And then you put the tail assembly into place as well. Actually, you're probably supposed to put the tail assembly on before you put the undercarriage on, but it's not that clear in this instruction sheet, although the fact that the tail assembly is in place sort of is a bit of a giveaway, isn't it? Incidentally, you've got an instrument landing light, a landing light on the inside of the wings before you put the wings together. And this is true of the Pioneer 2 model and the Matchbox kit. If you have one of those boxings as well, the kit is identical. And then you've got the transparencies and the aerials to put in place. So the actual sequence of events is quite simple and easy to follow, pretty much idiot-proof really. And as I said before in the previous video that I did of a PM model, virtually everything you do on this kit is glue everything apart from the propellers. The decals are actually quite nice as well. Now, I've used these decals from PM models before, and although they take a while to release from the backing sheet, they're actually quite good and they lie on the kit reasonably well. The backing film is pretty clear, not very evident when you put it onto a gloss surface, and the markings are nicely registered. They're pretty good. They're not up to cartograph, but I tell you what, they're not that bad. Nice and colourful markings on this kit. I think it will look nice when it's done. Just take the parts out of the bag. We'll deal with the transparency parts first, because lots of people think it denotes what the quality of the kit is. I don't know why, but there we go. Now, the transparency parts on this kit, when I did a PM Models review of the F5B, I found the canopy to be a little bit disappointing, but these look really nice. The transparency parts look very clear, they're crystal clear. In actual fact, you can see right the way through that, and although that's quite a bulbous part, you can actually see my fingerprints through that. Not sure if it's going to become apparent on the camera, but I can see my fingerprints through that. That is a very, very nice moulded part, very nice. And even the lights and the windows, they look quite crystal clear as well, so I'm very pleased with that. There's even a little bit of detail on the windscreen there. Yeah, that should paint up lovely. Not going to go pedantic through the parts, but I'm going to mention a couple of things. The propellers are nicely cast. There's no flash on them whatsoever. They're nice looking parts as well. Yeah, that's quite nicely moulded. I'm quite impressed with that. That looks okay. I'm not going to go through too much with this sprue, but I will show you this sprue before I show you anything else. I'm not going to show you the wings. Actually, I'll tell you what, I'll show you the wings on this sprue. The engine itself is quite nicely casted. It's as good as any other engine I've seen of this scale, this era. It looks quite nice. Quite impressed with that. That's okay. The texture of the wing parts, I'm really impressed with. And one of the things that I find interesting is that this kit has recessed panel lines. Now I wasn't expecting that of a kit that was released as early as 1991. Very nice. The texture of the parts is very nice as well. The cowlings for the engines are quite smooth, and the actual panels for the wings are quite nicely textured. Very impressed with that indeed. So we'll put these two wings to one side because they're pretty much the same as the other two, and I'll put one of these aside because you don't need to see both halves of the fuselage. But as you can see again, I mean, the interior's garbage, the interior's pretty much nothing. But as you can see from the moulding and the cast quality of the fuselage half, that's a nicely textured fuselage half. And again, you've got recessed panel lines on this kit, which is a real shock. I was not expecting that. Very, very nice, nicely cast parts. They're really nice. It's no wonder Revell chose to build this kit as a Matchbox kit. I'm very, very impressed. There's the tailplane. The tailplane is a slab piece, one part, and it's metal skinned, so it looks pretty good. I'm quite impressed with that. Very impressed indeed. Tailplanes and rudders, they look okay as well. And the overall quality and the overall look of the parts. There's a couple of parts on here that aren't actually used on this kit. They're probably used on the Expeditor, but the overall quality of the parts, although they're not up to modern standards, they're certainly up to any of the standards of the day from, say, the 1980s leading into the early 90s. So I'm not disappointed. Even the wheel detail, that's not bad. That is the wheel detail. I remember doing an Airfix Series 3 Lightning recently, and I remember the wheels. I was very impressed with the detail of the wheels, and these are pretty similar in quality to those. Very impressed with those indeed. The tail wheel is, I'm trying to see where there it is. The tail wheel's there, and that's not so good. I'm going to be honest with you, that's not so good. The undercarriage aeroleos don't look fantastic either, but can't have everything, can you? The floor pan of the kit is quite bereft of detail as well, but you won't be able to see much through those tiny porthole windows. So overall, I'm quite impressed with the quality of the parts. I think they're okay. I'm going to put all these parts back into the bag because I don't want to lose them. There are a number of loose parts as well. So yeah, overall I'm quite impressed with the overall quality of this kit, and I think as PM models go, this is probably one of their better ones. I have seen a number of other PM models. I've got a couple of other PM models, and they're certainly not as good as these. These parts in this kit are very, very good. I'm impressed with them very, very much. So now then, we'll just put all this stuff away and give you the box artwork so you can have a look at the box whilst I'm going through all the gumph, the technical gumph and everything. It shouldn't take long because there's not an awful lot to go through. Now I do know that there are lots of options for a C45 Expeditor, and I know this kit is based on an Expeditor, but I didn't want to mess about with the Expeditor as an option and cost. I only wanted to really just dwell on the AT11 Kansan. Now the model itself is a PM Models Beechcraft AT11 Kansan. The release date was 2001, and its serial number is PM303, and it's released in 1/72nd scale. There are decals for two versions, one an AT11 from the US Army's ABD Kara Ordusu, based at Kavalishik in Garuda in 1942, and the second is an AT11 Turk Hava Kavitleri from the Turkish Air Force circa 1970. So you've got an old sort of World War II era aircraft and a much more modern 1970s sort of era aircraft, which is quite nice. I like that quite, the idea that you can build a more modern option as well, which is quite good. The dimensions of the kit will be about 6 inches long by 8 inches in span and about 2 inches high on its undercarriage. The kit comprises 42 parts on 2 grey plastic sprues and 14 parts on 1 clear plastic sprue, producing 56 parts in total. The options and costs basically are 3 models, all based on the Pioneer kit. There's the Matchbox AT11 Kansan, based on the Pioneer kit at £10 to £25. The Pioneer 2 AT11 kit based on the Pioneer 2 kit, obviously, which is £4 to £12, and the PM models offering based on the Pioneer 2 kit, which is £4 to £20. Now, PM models have a reputation for being of substandard quality. However, yes, some of their kits are terrible, but this one is an exception to the rule, as it has quite nice texture to the exterior of the airframe, and those recessed panel lines were a real shock. The parts look relatively sound with good clear plastic glazing, and the decals look pretty good too. Cheap to buy and easy to build, this would be another kit for me to recommend for any modeler, any age or experience level. I hope this video has been of some use. If there are any questions, please put them in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Once again, thank you for all the support all my subbers have given me, and thanks for tuning in and watching in this video. I'll see you for the next one, and may your modelling projects go smooth and sound. Bye bye for now.